This is a two sample t-test and confidence interval problem. Proctored and non-proctored exams. Do students earn higher scores in non-proctored exams? Two calculus classes complete the same final exam. One class completed a proctored exam and the other class completed a non-proctored exam. The results are recorded in the following table, so which is right over here. My question is, do you have evidence to show that students earn higher scores in non-proctored exams? The significance level is 5%. We are going to follow this procedure. First, we determine the right test to use, and then we determine H0, HA, and then we calculate the T, the p-value, and then we draw a conclusion, and then we are going to use a confidence interval to support our conclusion. So first of all, how do you know that this is a t-test? The reason is we have two independent samples. So we have two independent samples. One for proctored exams and one for non-proctored exams. And how do you know this is a T, not a Z? The reason is you don't know the sigma, right? So you don't know, so unknown sigma. So that's why this follows a T procedure. And then what is next? The next step is you have to figure out the null hypothesis and alternative hypothesis. So what is the question asking? Do you have evidence to show or prove that students earn higher score in non-proctor exam? So we have two groups, right? One for proctor and then one for non-proctor. So this is a proctor and then this is a non-proctor. What are we trying to show? We are trying to show that students earn higher scores in non-proctor exam, right? So that means proctor is less than non-proctor, and then this less than goes to the alternative hypothesis. So that means for the alternative hypothesis, you are going to say this mu1 is less than mu2. I assume proctor is group 1 and non-proctor is group 2. And then what's next? H0, H0. The question didn't give me a sign for H0, so I will just take the opposite side. So H0, which is mu1, so the opposite of less than is greater than or equal to. Again, 1 is proctor, 2 is non-proctor. And then what is next? The next step is you will have to calculate the test statistics. So what's the formula? I know you are going to use software, right? Calculator. I want to know the formula as well. So let's use a different color for that. So the formula is T is equals to x1 bar minus x2 bar, and then minus mu1 minus mu2. Some textbooks don't show you the mu1 minus mu2 because they assume that mu1 and mu2 are equal. So once you subtract them, that is equals to 0, and then divided by s1 squared divided by n1 plus s2 squared divided by n2. You get this from a calculator. Also, you will get a p-value from a calculator. So let's move on to the calculator. I have my calculator on the left and then the screenshots on the right. So right over here, they are straight from TI-84CE. You can follow either one, follow the one you like. So first of all, to locate the two sample t-test, you will have to press the stat key and then you will have to go to test stat and then you go to test and then you locate a two sample t-test. So two sample t-tests, and then we don't have a data, we have a stat. So you click the stats option and then you will have to input the stats. So for proctor exam, so x1 bar is 82. People get 82 points. So 82. Okay, the number doesn't show up, so let me figure out why. So 80, yep, 82. And then S1 is standard deviation. Sample standard deviation is 12. Sample size is 35 students. And then for non-proctor, which is group 2, the X bar is 88. And then 88 points or percent, whatever that is. And then standard deviation is 5. And 2 is 42 students, right? And then what inequality sign do we use? We have to use a less than because you use less than in HA, right? So once you use a less than in HA, then this is a left-sided test, right? This is a left-sided test. Less than is left, greater than is right, not equal is two side. Okay, so we select a less than. And then how about the poll? Yes or no? The answer is you will have to choose a no. No poll. So the poll is a no. Why? Because I didn't say you assume the two population variances are equal. I did not say that you can assume the two population variances are equal. I know for t-test you don't know the sigma square, right? I am not saying you know or you don't know. I am saying that do you assume that they are equal? The problem didn't say that, then that is a no. If you want to choose a yes for the poll, then there is a very clear statement. The problem we say you can assume that the two variances, the two population variances are equal. They will give you a very clear statement. So since we do not have that statement, then the poll is no. So once you hit calculate, they will give you the t and the p-value and the degree of freedom. So once you hit calculate, they will give you a t. The t is negative 2.765. 2.765. Let's keep 3 decimal places. 765. And then what's the p-value? The p-value is pretty small. 0.0042. I usually keep 3 decimal places for the t and then 4 decimal places for the p-value, and then the degree of freedom is approximately equals to 43.79. So approximately equals to 43.79. Oh, for the degree of freedom that involves with a very complicated formula. I introduced the formula in the previous video, but to me, I never ask students to do the plug-in or write the formula. I would just ask them to report whatever you see in their calculator. Okay, so since we have a p-value, what is next? The next step is a conclusion, right? So what is my alpha? My alpha is significance level. Alpha is equals to 5%, right? That is stated in the question. Then is this a reject or fail to reject? So since p-value is less than alpha, okay, how about this? I am going to move the alpha right over here. I am going to say p-value is less than alpha. Then we reject the null hypothesis, right? So let's drop this down. I'm going to type this up. So I'm going to say since p-value is less than alpha 5%, what do we say? We reject the null hypothesis, right? So we reject null hypothesis and we conclude the alternative hypothesis is true. What does that mean? The alternative hypothesis is true. That means students earn higher scores in non-proctor exams. So students earn higher scores in non-proctor exam. Okay, so that is your conclusion. So now the two-sample t-test is done. Let's move on to the confidence interval. So for confidence interval, you will have to go to stat test. Not yet. If they ask you to graph the p-value, do you see that there is a graph right over here? So there is a graph right over here. Since the HA has a less than, then the p-value is on the left side. Do you see this? The p-value is on the left side, and then this cut is where the t-value is negative 2.765. Okay, so that is the graph. All you need to do is you hit calculate. Do you see that there is a draw right next to calculate? So just hit draw, and then they will give you the graph, because sometimes you will have to draw this on your paper. Okay, now we move on to confidence interval. So for confidence interval, you will have to go to a stat, and then you go to test. So this time you are doing a two-sample t interval, those two-sam t int. Mine is a line 0, two-sam t int. So two-sam t int, we click the stats option. This one, they erase all the stats for me, but on your calculator, you don't have to retype any of that because you already did that for the test. So they will just like transfer over to the two-sample t int. So since mine is erased, I will have to type them again. So 82. Okay, 82. And then 12. And then N1 is 35. And then 88. And then 5. And then 42. 5 and then 42. Confidence level is 95%. Oh, by the way, 5% alpha, right? Then 95% confidence level. If the alpha is 10%, then the confidence interval is 90%. If alpha is 20%, then the confidence interval is 80%. because they must add up to 100%, so no pool. And then you calculate, for the confidence interval, let me review the formula for you. So for confidence interval, that is x1 bar minus x2 bar, that is a point estimate, and then you plus or minus margin of error, so half alpha, degree of freedom, and then you put the square root in here, s1 square divided by n1, s2 square divided by n2. So for the lower limit, this one we have negative 10.37 and then negative 1.626. So how do you explain these two numbers? How do you explain? So how do you explain the confidence interval? Explain the confidence interval. Explain these two numbers. So the correct language is, we are 95% confident that on average, I can say non-proctor exam students earn additional 1.6 to 10.4 points. 10.4 point. Why is that? You just remove the negative. Why? Look at the formula. We use x1 bar minus x2 bar, right? We use 1 minus 2. We use proctor minus non-proctor. Okay, just make this simple. Proctor minus non-proctor, and then this is negative. What does that mean? P minus NP is negative. That means proctor is less than non-proctor. So that's why you have a negative. So that means if you are taking non-proctor exams, you will get higher scores. Higher score, how high? On average, they will earn additional 1.6 to 10.4 points on the test. So this is an explain. How do you use this confidence interval? This is my favorite part. How do you use this confidence interval to verify your conclusion is true? You just reject H0, right? Using a p-value. Now, what I am asking you to do is use the confidence interval to reject the null hypothesis. So here is the magic. So what is your null hypothesis? Your null hypothesis is mu1 is greater than or equal to mu2, right? So that means mu1 minus mu2 is greater than or equal to 0. Simple math. 10 minus 2 is greater than or, okay, here. 10 is greater than or equal to 2, right? That means 10 minus 2 is greater than or equal to 0. That's how simple it is. And then this greater than or equal to 0, is this inside or outside the confidence interval? 0 is not between these two numbers, right? And then positive is not between these two numbers. So that means the greater than and equal to is outside the confidence interval. So that means H0 is not true. Then you reject your H0. Why? What's the logic? What is confidence interval for? The confidence interval is for guessing the truth, right? So negative 10 and negative 1, that means you are saying that the truth is between negative 10 and negative 1. Now you give me a claim. 0 and positive. Is 0 and positive between negative 10 and negative 1? The answer is no. 0 is or greater than or positive is not between them. That means this greater than or equal to is not the truth. So since that is clearly not the truth, then you have to reject this inequality sign. That's how easy it is. Alright, so that is the end of this video. If you think my instruction is helpful, give me a like, share, and subscribe. I will catch you all in the next problem. Signing out.